What's going on, everyone? This is William, and I'm here with a special review of the brand new Ledger Nano X. So I'm super excited about doing this review. I am a huge advocate of hardware wallets, and specifically I've really always loved the Ledger products. I do have a number of other wallets. I have a Trezor, I have a Cool Wallet, and I have about 5 Nano S's, and this is my first time using the Nano X. And I want to preface by letting you know that I truly am just a regular guy who wanted to review this product so that I can relay this to you as unbiased as possible. You know, I have no incentive to lie to anybody or sell the product. I really just want people to have the best technology available because I truly believe that these hardware wallets are absolutely imperative for adoption and for people coming into the space that don't understand how security in cryptocurrency works. You know, the beauty and the beast of blockchain is its immutability. So while it is fantastic to have full control over your funds, if your funds are stolen, there's no way to recover your money. So it's very important that we educate people on good security practices. So that's why I believe that everyone in cryptocurrency should have a hardware wallet. And how I like to explain how these devices work is for the Ledger in particular, there's two chips on the device, and one chip interacts with your computer, and the other chip is what's your private key is stored on. So the chip that interacts with the computer sends the information to the other chip. The other chip will sign the transaction and send the hash back to the chip that interacts with the computer. So it's almost like you have an air-gapped device. The part of the device that stores your private key does not interact with your computer. So in a way, it's like having an air-gapped device, and this is easily the most convenient way to safely store your crypto assets. So if you know somebody in cryptocurrency that does not have a hardware wallet, or if you yourself don't have a hardware wallet, I highly recommend going and picking up a hardware wallet in general. I'm not going to say you need to buy this one, although after playing with this for a few days, I have to say that I am beyond impressed with this device. So without further ado, I will get into some of the quirks and features of this device and the things that I've noticed. I wanted to take a few days and play around with it and really get a feel for what it is. You know, I've used a lot of Ledger Nano S's, and I was really hoping on improvements with this device, and I'm happy to say that they absolutely did deliver. You know, one of the problems with the Ledger Nano S that I noticed is about a year ago, they did a firmware security update, and I do appreciate that they took our security seriously and patched whatever fault it was at the time. But when they did that, it only allowed you to store two, maybe three apps on your Ledger Nano S. So if you stored a variety of different assets, in order to make a transaction, you would have to go into the Ledger, plug it into your computer, delete an app, reinstall a new one, send your transaction, and then you have to go through all that same process every time you send a transaction. And I don't send that many transactions, and I found that so annoying. I found it really just didn't even want to use the device sometimes, and that to me was a shame because I really love the device, and I understand its security and how great it is, and it was a matter of inconvenience. It didn't mean I wouldn't use it, but I can't really see adoption happening. The new users that are coming in, they're not going to want to have to play around with all that stuff every time they want to make a transaction. They're on the go, they want to be able to pop the device open, make their transaction, and that's it, and be done with it, not to uninstall and reinstall all kinds of applications. So that was one feature that I expected the Nano X to solve, and of course it did solve that problem. So huge props to Ledger for fixing that. That was a huge burden, and I believe that the Nano X is absolutely the device to buy. I personally, unless you don't mind, or you're only storing Bitcoin and you want to save some money, go ahead and pick up the Ledger Nano S. It's still a great device. It has the same security that this has, but this one is a lot more versatile and allows you to be mobile. It's more functional and just overall easier to use. So a couple of things I noticed in my unboxing video, I talked about this hinge, this metal cover that the Ledger is known to have and how much more sturdy it is. It just feels great to open. It's a thicker metal, a better looking plastic. The device just feels very strong, and you can actually see here the screen is much bigger, and we have a screensaver on the larger OLED display. So that's kind of a cool quirk of this device. The previous ones didn't have that. It just looks really cool. So another thing that Ledger is really good about is security. So both Ledgers that I've used, I think it was about a year and a half ago, they changed the way that the PIN code unlocks work. So when you're unlocking your Ledger device, the PIN code starting position is randomized. So when you move on to the next number, it might be a 2, it might be an 8, it'll switch it around. That way somebody can't listen to your microphone and hear how many clicks. You know, if it always starts at 0 and you're pressing it 4 times, they know that the first number is 4. And so people can figure out your PIN number. So what they did was they randomized the starting number in your PIN code so that it's impossible for anybody to listen and get your PIN code. So that's a really cool feature. Another thing that I noticed is the recovery phrase worked the same way. When you are recovering one ledger to another, the starting letter of your recovery phrase is also randomized. So it might start on B, one word, and start on F for another, and that's another way that nobody can listen to your recovery phrase and somehow figure it out. That would be admittedly very difficult, but not impossible. The recovery time took me about 5 minutes for me to recover with all 24 words. It was very easy to use, very intuitive. I was going to do an initialization video on this, and I still can if I get some feedback and people want to see how that works. But overall, I believe that the Ledger instructions on their website are very easy to use. Just like I said, make sure that you store your recovery words in a safe place. You get 3 cards that come with the box where you can write down your recovery phrase and store those in a very safe location. So another thing that I noticed when I was installing applications into this device is that it was much faster. Not only were the applications installed faster, but the way that it interacted with my computer was also faster. On the Nano S, a lot of times there was some latency in between the computer recognizing that a certain app was open or that it was connected to Ledger Manager, and it would sometimes be a 5 or 10 second delay with this Nano X. I don't know if it was in the software or the hardware wallet itself, but the moment that I unlock the wallet, it connects with Ledger Live application, and apps are installed very quickly. And as I talked about this before, I'm very happy to announce that I installed probably more than half of the applications available on the Ledger App Store onto the device. It had no problems. I don't believe that there's an issue any longer with only being able to have a couple applications. This is great. That was my biggest and only problem with the Nano S, so that was solved. And I did run into one problem on this when I was trying to add accounts to see my portfolio balances. I was having trouble getting it to connect to certain applications. When I would connect the wallet to the app, it would recognize that the wallet is connected and at the dashboard, but when I would open the app that it was asking me to open, it would no longer recognize it. I'm sure that's probably not the hardware wallet, it's probably something in the software. I'm sure that will be fixed. Wasn't a big deal at all, but it was one thing that I noticed. Another great thing that I noticed is when the wallet is plugged in via USB, whether to your phone or to your computer, when you unplug the USB, it does require you to re-enter your PIN code. So again, with security in mind, I love that feature. Basically everything that you do is putting security first. So when you unplug it, even though you already had it unlocked and you had your PIN code entered, when you unplug it, it automatically prompts you back to reinstall your PIN code. So God forbid you're out somewhere and you have your Ledger plugged in and turn your head and somebody snatches that device off your computer, they're not going to be able to get into your device. One of the issues that I noticed, and this is not to dog any other hardware wallets, you know, I appreciate the effort to decentralize the space and give people options, but as you may know, this wallet has Bluetooth functionality, which allows you to pair your ledger with your phone. That's a great feature. I do have the Ledger app installed here on my phone. I have to say that the pairing process was just incredibly simple. If you install the Ledger with a USB, it actually uses USB Type-C. My phone is USB Type-C, and I have this adapter here from Samsung. And I just plug in the USB wire and the adapter to my phone, and then plug in the Ledger to the other side. And one of the cool things is, as soon as I plug it in, it automatically loads the Ledger Live app and brings it up on my phone. Makes it very easy to use. But what I love more than that is the Bluetooth functionality. I had zero issues pairing the phone. It was extremely simple. It was extremely fast. The application is super easy to use. I tested and verified transactions. I made transactions. I received tokens. Everything was just lightning fast, really good. And my biggest problem with other hardware wallets, and the thing that I love about this is, for example, I'm going to use the Cool Wallet as an example, and when you are sending or receiving a transaction on your ledger, the most important thing to know is that they show you the address on the screen, because you cannot trust what you see on a computer screen. You cannot trust what you see on a phone. The only thing that you can trust is what you see on this screen. This has a special firmware that can detect any modifications to the firmware, so it knows if there's somebody trying to tamper with what you see on the screen. And when you create a Cool Wallet transaction, of course you still verify the transaction through pressing buttons on the Cool Wallet's card display, but it doesn't display the address in the box there, the screen on the Cool Wallet. It just shows you the amount and if you want to confirm, and you have to actually trust what your device is telling you and where the assets are going. And that's a problem, because these numbers, these addresses can all be manipulated by malware, and as to where the device cannot. So that was one thing that the Nano S and the Nano X solved that problem by ensuring that you verify everything with the screen. So that means that if you are receiving assets and it gives you your deposit address, you also are going to verify it on the screen and make sure that it's the right address. And the same when you're sending tokens. Even if malware happens to be able to get into the device or get your PIN code, what malware cannot do is press the physical buttons. And the only way to send transactions with the Ledger Nano X is by verifying the transaction with physical presses of the device. So you can actually plug this into the most malware-ridden computer or phone or both, and safely transact in cryptocurrencies. And as many of you know, but I hope that you know, that it's very easy to get your computers and devices infected with malware. Not just your computers, but your television. If you have a Wi-Fi connected toaster, it can get infected with malware. So it's not always detected by malware detectors, so it's important to know that you have to protect yourself in this crypto world, because as more adoption comes, more and more security researchers are going to be targeting crypto users to steal their funds. So another great feature that I absolutely love about this device is in the mobile app, it allows you to use biometrics to unlock the app and view your balances and make transactions. And I just love that quick and easy use. You can bring this on the fly with you. You don't have to worry about losing it. Nobody can get into it. You don't have to worry about somebody stealing it, and you can make transactions on the fly. So if you and I were out somewhere and I want to send you $5 for paying for my coffee or we're at a store or whatever the case may be, you can pop open the Ledger app, give it your fingerprint, scan the QR code, and just click a couple buttons on the device and you're done. So it's incredibly easy to use. You know, I did say that this review was going to be unbiased, and I can assure you that what I'm telling you is coming from a real user, and I just love the device. It actually exceeded my expectations by far. There are a lot of great features. The wallet's easy to use. So I will include more data in the text description of this review. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to leave a link in the bottom of this blog. So if you would like to order a Ledger Nano S or Ledger Nano X, please use my my link below. I'll get a small portion of the transaction and it will be of no extra cost to you. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, you want to know more about the device, or you want any updates or anything at all, just feel free to email me or comment below. So I hope you enjoyed and have a great day.